Hello students, my name is Kritika and I am your computer digital mentor. Today we are going to start our chapter number 5, that is working with layers. So students, before we start our chapter, here we have some lesson objective. First is selecting and renaming a layer. Second, masking in Animate. Next, changing the order of layers, and then adding layers and changing their order, then rotation with masking effects, then hiding, showing and locking a layer, then learn onion skinning, and lastly creating an animation with multiple layers. So students, these are some points we are going to discuss in detail. Now let's start our chapter. Working in layers is very important in Flash. They make animation easier. They enable you to keep the elements of your animation separate, and they allow you to create scenes with the appearance of depth. Layers are like sheets of transparent paper arranged in a stack. Layers are used to make big animation movie. When you have to use a number of objects, it's always better to distribute the objects in different layers, as it makes the work process much easier. Each layer is a separate thing, but when you have a stick of layer, each with drawing on them, they can create an entire scene. You work on the layer without worrying about messing up the older layer. For example, if you want to erase something on a layer, you can do it without worrying about erasing anything on other layers. You will also find it easier to animate multiple characters if you put them on different layers. Although you can activate one layer at a time, yet you can select more than one layer at once. You can add a number of layers, hide and lock the layers, change the position of the layers, delete the layers, and even customize the layer as well. When you add an object in a layer, the file size increases. The standard view of a layer is shown below. Standard view of a layer. Here you can see show, hide all layers, then lock, unlock all layers, and then show all layers as outline, then layer name, then pencil icon, then delete layer button, and then insert layer button. And it is displaying the layers components. Now students, here is our first topic, that is selecting a layer. So how will you select a layer? Let's read. To make a layer active, either select the layer in the timeline or select a stage object in the layer. The activate layer is highlighted in the timeline and is indicated with a keyframe navigation controller icon. Here you can see renaming a layer. So how will you rename your layer? Let's read. Renaming a layer can be done by the following two methods. There are two methods to rename your layer, and here is method number 1. That is, click on the layer that to be renamed and then double click on the layer name and type the new name. So this is our first method, and let's read our second method. Right click on the layer name, select properties option from the content menu, or choose modify, then timeline, then layer properties, then layer properties from the menu. The layer properties dialog box displays. Type the new name in the name text box and click OK. So this is how you can rename your layer name. These are two methods. Now here you can see the interface of selecting a layer. Then here you can see the interface of renaming a layer. Now let's discuss about adding a new layer. Adding new layer. So how do you add a new layer? Let's read. By default, your timeline will already have one layer. You create a new Flash document to add another layer. Perform either of the following steps. Here are some steps you have to follow if you want to add new layer. So firstly, click on the new layer button in the bottom of the timeline, or select the insert, then timeline, then layer. A new layer displays above the selected layer and it becomes the active layer. So students, here you can see the interface of adding a new layer. So this is how you can add a new layer to your Flash. Now before we move further, here we have an interesting fact that says when you pick an object out of the library, the object is referred to as an instance of a symbol. Now, here we have our second topic, that is changing the order of layers. So, in this topic, we are going to read how will we change the order of our layers in Flash. The order of the layers on the timeline ascertains the order of the different objects that display on the stage. When images on different layers overlap, object in higher layer display in front of object in layers below them. To change the order of the layer, click on the layer name you want to move and drag it to desired location. Now to place the boy layer behind the fence layer. So here you can see we have two steps. First is click on the boy layer in the timeline. Second, drag the boy layer downward to place it below the fence layer. So this is how you can arrange your layer in orders. Here you can see the interface of selecting the elephant layer and secondly dragging the elephant layer. Now let's read about hide and show a layer. So how will you hide or show a layer in Flash? Let's read. You can hide the layer to see the contents on the other layers. While hiding the layer, you have the option either to hide all the layers in your document at once or hide the layer individually. To do that, here we have some steps to follow. Firstly, click on the eye icon above the layer. A red cross symbol displays in the eye column. You will find that all the contents disappear from the stage. Now next, click on each red cross symbol one by one in the column and notice that the contents on the layers on the stage. And here you can see the interface of hiding layers. Now let's learn about lock a layer. So how will you lock your layer? Let's read. You can lock the layer to avoid any further changes to the content added by you. So to do that, here we have some steps to follow. Firstly, click on the fence layer to make it active. Second, in the timeline, click on the white dot under the lock column. Third, a padlock icon emerges indicating the layer is now locked. And then, using the selection tool, try to drag the fence down on the stage. You will not be able to do so because the fence layer is locked. And here you can see the interface of locking a layer. So students, this is how you can lock any layer. Now, after learning about creating a layer, renaming a layer, hiding and locking any layer, it's time to read about creating an animation with multiple layers. So how will we create animation with multiples of layers? Let's read. So first we have drawing a building. Here to do so we have some steps to follow. Firstly, select the view, then show grid option. Now next, draw the building applying different tools from the tools panel. Then select the color from the fill color box, choose the paint bucket tool and click inside the building. Rename the layer as building. Now next, create the sky. So for creating the sky, here we have some steps. First, create another layer and rename it as sky. Then select the rectangle tool and then draw sky by applying the blue as stroke color and fill color. Next, choose the window, then color option, display the color panel. Here you can see the interfaces along with each step. Here you can see drawing a building. And now let's read our step. Select the linear gradient option from the color type drop down list in the color panel. Now next, double click on the left and right color markers and set the color as light blue and dark blue respectively. Now next, select the paint bucket tool and click inside the rectangle to rotate the shape. Select the free transform tool and click the rectangle. And now next, now select the gradient transform tool from the tool panel. Move the middle handle to shift the gradient and fix the corner handle to rotate the gradient. So students, this is how you can make your building and your sky. Here you can see the interface of creating a sky. Now let's learn how will we add grass and road. So in this topic we are going to learn about how will we add grass and road too. Here we have some steps. First, select the building layer to make it as the active layer. Then next, Click outside the stage to deselect the building and then select the rectangle tool. Click on the stroke color box and select no color. Select the fill color box and pick bright green as the fill color. Now next, draw a rectangle below the building for the grass. Then in the same way, select the bright gray as the fill color. Then next, draw a rectangle below the grass for the road. And here you can see the interface of drawing grass and road. So students, this is how you can make your grass and road in the drawing. Now let's read about create a layer named tree. So now we are going to learn how will we make tree in our drawing. So here we have some steps. Let's read. Add a new layer by clicking on the new layer button. Rename it as tree. Then next, create the stem and drop and the top of the tree separately. Fill the color brown in stem and green on the top position. On the top, position the top of the tree on the stem with the help of the selection tool. Select both the object and group them by pressing Ctrl+G. Convert it into symbol by pressing the F8 key. Now next, type the name tree in the convert symbol. In the convert symbol dialog box, click OK. Move the tree instance onto the stage. Position this tree in front of the second building. Now next, extend the sky, building and car in them by pressing F6 key. So students, this is how you can make your tree in your drawing. Now let's read about create a layer named car. So now we are going to make a car. So let's read these steps. Firstly, make the tree layer, activate and place a new layer and name it car. Then next, draw a car by applying the oval and rectangle tools as shown in the picture. Then next, select the car by selecting the selection tool and clicking on the layer name. Then next, convert it into the symbol and move the car instance onto the stage. Here you can see the interface of inserting keyframe at frame 60. Now students, let's read about moving the car. So in this topic, we are going to learn how will we move our car. So let's read these steps. Firstly, select the selection tool, click and move the car to the right side of the stage. Then next, rename frame 2 to 60 from the timeline. Then next, right click on frame 1 and select the twin option. Drag the playhead to frame 60. Drag the car to the left side of the stage. And now, lastly, press Ctrl plus Enter or Ctrl Test Movie and then in Flash Professional to watch the animation. And here you can see the interface of drawing a car. So students, this is how you can make your building, sky, tree, road and car. Now you know how will you make all these things in the Flash. Now students, let's read our next topic, that is masking in Animate. So the concept of masking in Flash CS6 involves using a shape to hide or reveal portions of a piece of artwork. It is like view the outside through a small window in your house. The window size limits what you see when you are inside. Now, masking is generally used in Flash to create spotlight effect that would display the text or object through a hook. Now, let's read about creating a mask layer. So, in this topic, we are going to learn how will we create a mask layer. So, let's read. To create a mask layer, follow the steps given below. So, here are some steps you have to follow if you want to create a mask layer. So, firstly, open a new file in Flash. Change the background color to dark blue by clicking the color box in front of the stage option in the property inspector. Then next, double click on the layer and type the name text. Then select the text and type handwork. Now select the selection tool from the tools panel and select the text. Convert the text to a graphic symbol by selecting the modifier, then convert to symbol. Now apply the selection tool, move the text of the stage top left side on the work area. Now right click on frame 1 and select the create motion twin option from the context menu that displays. Move the playhead to frame 40. And now select the text and move to the bottom right corner of the stage. And now place a new layer and rename it as mask. Then last, select oval tool and choose the fill color. Draw an oval shape in the center of the stage. The width of the oval should be larger the text symbol. And here you can see the interface of selecting background color. So students, before we read our next steps, here we have an interesting fact. To reduce the speed of an animation, click on the frame rate field in the properties panel and define a number less than 24. Now let's continue our step. Here is our next step. Right click on the mask layer and select the mask option from the context menu that displays. This will convert the layer to mask layer and the twin layer gets indented underneath. Both layers are locked automatically. Here you can see the interface of creating motion twin. Press Ctrl plus Enter or select Ctrl, then Text Movie, then in Flash Professional to observe the text animation through the stage. Press Ctrl plus Enter or select Ctrl, then Test Movie, then in Flash Professional to observe the animation. The text animates through the stage. Here you can see the interface of selecting mask option. Now here we have our next topic, that is rotation with masking effect. How will you rotate with masking effect? Let's read some steps. First, open a new file by clicking the file, then new option. Then next, import an image to the stage by selecting the file, import to stage. Then select the free transform tool and move the image to fit evenly in the stage. Then next, right click on the frame 60 and choose the insert frame option from the displayed list. Now next, rename the image layer as nature, lock the nature layer. Now next, place one more layer by clicking the new layer button, name the layer as star mask. Then next, select the star mask layer and drag a star on frame 1 by selecting the polystar tool. Click the option tab under the tool settings section. Here you can see the interface of importing image to stage. Now let's read our next step. Select the star style from the tool setting box. Specify the number of sides and click OK. Select the fill color from properties panel or from tools panel with no stroke color. Create the star at the center of the image. Now next, click on the selection tool and select the star. Change the star into the symbol by pressing F8 key. Here you can see interfaces along with the steps. Here you can see selecting polystar. Then here you can see selecting the style star, drawing a star. And then here you can see drawing star on the stage. So students, before we continue our steps, here we have an interesting fact. So let's read. In Animate, hide the other parts and show only those parts of an image that appear underneath the object on which we are applying the marking effect. So now let's continue our steps. Here next step is specify graphic behavior and type the name star in the name box. Then click OK. Now select the free transform tool and minimize the size of the star. You can also minimize the size of the star by pressing the Ctrl plus Alt plus S key combination. Here you can see the interface along with this step. Now next step is right click on frame 60 and select the insert keyframe option from the context menu. Now maximize of the star in frame 60. Right click in between the frame 1 and frame 60 and select the create classic twin option. Then next, in the Properties Inspector tool, select the CW option in the Rotate field under the Twinning section. Next, right-click on the star mask layer and select the Mask option. Here you can see the interface of selecting the Mask option, and here you can see the interface of selecting Rotation option. And lastly, Press Ctrl plus Enter or select Ctrl. Test movie in Flash Professional to play the movie. So students, this is how you can create your own star in Flash CS6. Now this is it from this topic. Let's start our new topic, that is, now let's start our next topic, that is onion skinning. So onion skinning feature enables you to view a faint ghost image of the previous frame, which allows you in placing the image to the next frame. By clicking the onion skin option, you can view numbers of several frames before and after the current frame. In Flash CS6, there are two types of onion skinning. Onion skinning is a 2D graphic term for a technique used in creating animated cartoons and editing movies to see several frames at once. This way, the animator or editor can make discussion or how to create or change an image based on the previous image in the sequence. Here, first we have onion skin. It displays the frame in full color. And second, onion skin outlines. This option shows only the outline of the object in the frame. Now next we have, notice when you select the onion skin option, the frame on which you are working display in full color, while the surrounded selected frame look dimmed. Now perform the following steps. So if you want to apply onion skin on your image, you have to follow these steps. So firstly, click on the onion skin or onion skin outline button of the timeline. Then next, move the markers above the timeline to see multiple frames at once. Then next, this will show all the frames superimposed over each other. And here you can see the interface of selecting the onion skin button. Now here you can see the interface of onion skin tools. Here you can see inside the interface onion skin outline button, then onion skin button, then center frame, and then edit multiple frame button. And here you can see convert current frame, and then edit multiple frame button. Now let's learn about creating an animation by using onion skin. So we are going to learn about how will we create animation using onion skin. So let's read. To create an animation by using onion skin, follow the steps given below. So here are some steps you need to follow if you want to draw your picture by using onion skin. So firstly, open a new file, then import any background image on the stage by selecting the file, import to stage. Now draw an elephant as shown in the figure. Here you can see the picture of an elephant. Then next, select the onion skin button. Then next, right click on the frame 2 and select the insert keyframe option from the context menu. Here you can see the interface of insert keyframe in frame 2. Now let's continue our steps. Select the selection tool and double click on the elephant. Move the elephant slightly. Then next, click on the stage to deselect the elephant. Then next, now insert the arrow near to the trunk of elephant. When you get an angle symbol below the arrow, move the trunk to a different angle. Repeat the same steps for the feet of the elephant. Here you can see the interface of selecting loop playback option. Now let's continue our steps. So next, click on frame 3 and press F6 to place a keyframe. Now next, again repeat the above method movement to the trunk and feet of the elephant. Now next, repeat the steps to place keyframes from frame 4 to 20. Make changes in each new frame. Then next, select the control, then loop playback so that you can see the animation repeatedly. Now next, select the control, then play to observe the animated effect on the elephant. Here you can see the interface of modification by selection tool. So students, this is it from the layers, and I hope you have learned many things in this chapter. So what we have learned in this chapter, let's revise through some key points. So first we have layers are like sheets of transparent paper arranged in a stack. Layers फ्लैश के अंदर एक ट्रांसपेरेंट पेपर शीट्स का अरेंज स्टैक है. नेक्स्ट, an active layer is highlighted in the timeline and it's indicate with a pencil icon. जो हमारी एक्टिव लेयर होती है वो हमें हमारी टाइमलाइन पे एक हाईलाइटेड पेंसिल के थ्रू दिखाई देती है, जिससे हमें समझ आ जाता है कि ये लेयर एक्टिव है. नेक्स्ट, the order of the layer on the timeline decides the order of the different objects displayed on the stage. Next, mask is used in flash to create spotlight effect. तो मास्किंग का यूज हम किसके लिए करते हैं? जैसे कि अभी हमने चैप्टर में पढ़ा, मास्किंग का यूज हम किसी भी ऑब्जेक्ट को स्पॉटलाइट इफेक्ट डालने के लिए कर सकते हैं. The next, the onion skin feature enables you see a faint ghost image of the previous frame. तो ओनियन स्किन का हम यूज किसके लिए करते हैं? ओनियन स्किन का हम यूज करते हैं किसी भी इमेज के फेंट गोस्ट को शो करने के लिए. एंड नेक्स्ट, इन फ्लैश देयर आर टू टाइप्स ऑफ ओनियन स्किनिंग. फर्स्ट वन इज द ओनियन स्किन एंड द सेकंड वन इज द ओनियन स्किन आउटलाइन. तो फ्लैश में ओनियन स्किन कितने टाइप्स की होती है? फ्लैश में ओनियन स्किन होती है दो टाइप की. फर्स्ट वन इज द ओनियन स्किन एंड द सेकंड वन इज द ओनियन स्किन आउटलाइन. एंड देन we can create an animation by using onion skin. Onion skin का यूज करके हम फ्लैश में एनिमेशंस डाल सकते हैं. In animate there are two types of onion skating. First onion skin and second onion skin outlines. So students, this is it from this chapter. Soon we are going to learn about many interesting chapters of computer. Till then, revise what we have learned today. Thank you.